Radio Rahim here in New York, Brooklyn, with the Bronze Bomber, the WBC heavyweight champion of the world, the only American heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay Wilder.
Blessings.
Yeah, you know, Deontay, as I sit here, I think about the fact that you've been fighting as a professional for 10 years. You're a heavyweight champion of the world. You and I have had so many interactions. It seems like we've been talking for a long time, but we actually haven't. I haven't known you as long as I would expect to know a fighter that's been in the game as long as you, 40 plus fights, title holder, especially a heavyweight. And I don't think necessarily the boxing community knows you as well as they could or should either. The beginnings of Deontay Wilder, where does this guy come from? It seemed to me, even in my career, like you exploded on the scene. Like, as far as my consciousness, once you were there, I watched the Olympics. You know, these guys, everybody doesn't make it out of the Olympics, become a real professional star. So I saw that, but then all of a sudden, as a professional, in my awareness, you kind of exploded on the scene. There wasn't a real crawl to success, and I was at your smaller fights in Alabama or anything like that. Wasn't the case. So I want to start by getting to know you from the beginning, like how you came to be a boxer, much less a world champion.
Well, I would say I became a fighter because of my daughter that was born with spina bifida. You know, coming from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, you know, things was based off of football, you know, college football, because we don't have a professional team there. And growing up, you know, that was my mindset was to become part of the Alabama Christian Tide, you know. And, you know, it's just like the saying, when you have one thing you have planned for yourself, God has another thing planned for you. And that was a true case for me. I remember being in college, 19 years old, getting that phone call, you got a baby on the way. And, you know, when you have everything going for you, you know, you have money in your pocket, you have women, you have, you know, you be able to do what you want, and now you got this responsibility. You know, you got this life that's coming in the world, and it's not about yourself no more. So it allowed me to change up a lot of my ways. It allowed me to change up my lifestyle, and because I knew it wasn't about me anymore, it was about my daughter. But you know, being in college, I had a friend in college. We used to always talk about what we want to do in and out of life, and what are the things what we want to do to try to get there, because it's easy to say, I want to do this, I want to do that, but you have to apply your service. Like I always say, you have to apply service to your greatness. And I told him I should start boxing, you know. He thought it was a great idea for the simple fact I was known to be a fighter. You know, I was known to be in great fights coming up. I never picked with anyone. I never started any trouble. The trouble always found me, and it seemed like every day it was a great fight. You know, it was someone picking with me, someone wanted to fight, because I wasn't always tall. You know, I didn't always have the height as I does now. And, you know, being in the country, man, we don't have many resources or things to do. So what better to do than have a good scrap, you know? And
the American South is known for its football, but it's also known for its hardships, particularly with African Americans. So for those who may not understand like the culture of America or how geographically being raised in different places can influence you differently, it stands out to me that you said, you know, how can I get there? How can I provide for my family? At 19, that's a hell of a responsibility to put on a 19-year-old kid, and knowing in the future there's only so many opportunities. You said, I should box. But was boxing something that was a favorite sport of yours before then? Did you have a passion for it before it became kind of a necessity as a way to get where you needed to go?
It wasn't a favorite sport, but I had a passion for it. You know, we still used to see Mike, Holyfield, you know, Roy Jones, you know, any fight that we could see on TV, big fights and stuff like that. But my main passion, you know, was football, because we saw that every day. We was around that every day, you know, you know, I can remember being in Paris, you know, with Paris, something to deal with the police, and, you know, they go around the communities and they pick team, they gather little small kids.
Right?
Yeah, you know, and they make, get your little league teams and you grow up. So I was a part of that process and just coming up. So that's what we did. On the basketball courts, I remember being around multiples of guys in the community, bigger guys, in the basketball court. So that's what we did. Boxing, it wasn't so much, there or gyms or anything. At least that's what I thought, And when I thought about boxing because I needed money, I knew that going to school, playing football or even playing basketball, you still had to go to college to get recruited to go to the next level. But in this situation, I needed it right then. I needed it now, and I was ignorant to the sport of boxing. I just looked at those guys and, it seemed like they made it a lot of money. You see them on magazines, you see them on TV, and, but I was ignorant to the sport. I didn't know even that was a process to get into that level of making the big money.
It ain't street fighting.
It ain't street fighting. It's nowhere near it, And I remember telling one of my friends, I said I should start boxing. He thought it was a great idea for the simple fact I can use my hands very well. I can handle my own in the streets. And I remember him going to class like 3 days prior to us talking about that. He went to class and he had this guy that was in his class that tries to recruit guys to come to the gym and box, or at least see what they got, And I remember him calling me, man, I got this guy. He's trying to get me to box because he was a tall guy as well too, and he played ball, but he wasn't the fighter type. He was more the lover. See, I was a lover and a fighter, mostly a fighter because I'll get on your head,
With a kid at 19, you're definitely a lover.
Most definitely. So immediately, I got excited. My heart was beating with joy. I was definitely overwhelmed with the conversation that we had, prior to the trainer coming and try to get him, or the guy that was recruiting him to go to the gym. And I was like, man, make sure you get his number. I'm serious about this. I want to do this because I'm thinking about the money part of it. I'm not thinking about nothing else because I don't know nothing else with boxing. I've never been in a gym in a day of my life during that time. And he made sure he got all the information. I ended up meeting a guy and walking to the gym, man, and this gym's been here for years, and right under our nose. See, being in a small town like that, like I said, we only knew basketball, football. We didn't know nothing about a boxing gym there. And when I walked up in there, it was like I walked in a place that I never seen in a day of my life. Like it was, I always tell people it was like the heavenly bells when you say, hallelujah, hallelujah. I swear those were the sound that I heard in my ears walking into that gym. But the only difference was it was the speed bag. It was the habit bag. It was the conversation that other fighters was having. It was the sparring. All was sounding so good in one ear. It felt like I was at the right place at the right time. And when I walked into my trainer, that's still my trainer to this day, J Deeds, I walked up to him and I said, I want to box, And I was like maybe a buck 85, 95 then, And he get kids come in all the time and they still do, and his mindset was like the basketball court is down the street,
Right.
Because you don't know what you really getting yourself into, or you don't know what to expect when you come in the gym and you say this is what you want to do, because boxing is not for everybody. It's for the chosen ones. But he didn't know what type of person I was, what mindset, what I was looking for to get out of this, who I was doing it for, most of all. And when I joined the gym, he said he really fell in love with me. He knew that I was the right one when not only was I working hard when he was looking at me, but the magic would happen when he wasn't looking at me. I was working just as hard. And, starting to go on, get into the routine of boxing. My mindset was to be a journeyman. I didn't know nothing about the Olympics. I didn't know nothing. Like, I knew about Muhammad Ali's story and, him throwing his gold medal, but I still didn't really understand it, And my mindset was to come and be a journeyman. I needed the money right now. Hey, just teach me a couple of professional, tactics or whatever. That's why I always train with the professional, because I wanted to learn fast and just stick me out there. Let me make some money. And I remember we had a guy in the gym. He was a real big guy. And the first round of sparring, I ended up dropping him. And when I dropped him, the whole gym went silent. It was like, who is this guy coming in and dropping this heavyweight like this on the ground? And the heavyweight was on his back, And he looked up at Jay, and he looked up at me, and he looked back at Jay. He said, keep him in here. He's strong. And that's when Jay realized that, like, this guy has something special. And that's when we had the conversation about the Olympics. That was in 2007. The Olympics was coming around. And we never had no one to exceed past a national level, let alone talking about going to the Olympics. So we didn't have no guidance to for one, to how to take a fighter to that level, then talking about get him to be a part of a member of the Olympics. One thing we talked about, we knew that if we kept winning, that we'll figure out and find out all the information that we need to know. And I got all the way to that point, to the Olympics.
When you entered the Olympics, 246 fighters of all weight classes from all countries, and of those 246, you were 246th when it came to experience.
Yes.
It's unheard of for a guy at that position to even medal. You would think a guy in that position would be like, man, I'm just happy to be here. If I get, one good fight, if I win one good fight, I've been successful. That's not what happened with you. And people hear when you say bronze bomber, they hear Bronx bomber, they hear brown bomber. They don't know that, some don't know that the bronze comes from the bronze medal. Well, as we know, that's the third place on the podium. But that's a hell of an accomplishment to come from 246th.
Yes.
It also informs at least me as to how you navigate. Like you say, you make plans, and then God has plans, and God's the best of planners. So instead of football, you end up in boxing. Instead of college, you end up in the Olympics. Do you ever think about the road less traveled? Like, people don't think of boxers as a collegiate student. You don't think of that as a course to get to a championship. But you were in school. You were looking to better yourself, in the education field.
Correct.
Everybody knows you like to talk, but you like, to talk about things that are of consequence to you. So do you regret, if not regret, wonder what it would have been like if you pursued your education? That's something that's still important to you.
Yeah, I don't regret it at all. When you look at the scale of successful people, you'll find that it's been more millionaires and billionaires that haven't had a education for as high school or even college education alone, and that became, very successful. And you still have those that have an education, that have graduated from college, and they're not doing what their degree, says that they should be doing, or what they went to school for. In fact, they're still paying off tuition. They're still paying off student loans, to pursue their career, and it's kind of crazy. It's that way, I know many of people that have 3 degrees, but they're still paying off student loans, working an average job. They don't have a job where the degree, what they went to school for, but here I am, 1 year of college, and now I'm a multi-millionaire. There's so many cases like that. It's crazy. But I know this other guy that owns a famous restaurant, back home, and he don't even have a high school education, but he don't teach his sons, that step or that principle. You don't go to school. He tell them that you don't have to go to school to do it. Look at your dad. I'm successful. I did it. But he don't stand in their way of getting an education, getting a college education, or going over and beyond whatever you want to do. He don't stand in their way, because he's already set the example. He showed them, but it ain't for everybody. School is not for everyone, and it wasn't for me, and I've been successful without it, So, but with my children, I always tell them that it's a lot of things you're gonna learn in school. You're gonna learn a lot of things from books, from school, but there's also be another thing that's gonna teach you even more things that school can't teach you, and that's the book of life. Because it's the book of life. In the real world, you learn on the job, and this is where I am.
Learning on the job certainly can be something that is said of your career, being that we're talking about a 20-year-old now. By the time you actually started training, even as an amateur, you're already 20. It's almost unheard of in boxing for somebody that starts there to reach the levels that you're at. And boxing is often referred to as a science. So if not in this classroom, you certainly were a student in the gym. What does the science of boxing mean to you? What was it like learning on the job in a combat sport that has the kind of consequences that can really devastate a guy physically. Sometimes, as you're well aware, in the guy's life, that's a hell of a job to learn on while you're trying to perform it. What was that like for you?
I mean, it was difficult, being that the fact that this wasn't street fighting, I considered it more as an organized, sport. It's like basketball. You can do street ball, you can play street football, but it's a such thing as organized basketball where you have to work as a team. You have to play as a team. You have to learn plays. You have to learn strategies. In the streets, you're doing your own thing. You're trying to shine. You're trying to be the main one. In fighting, I didn't really need too much of a strategy. My main thing was to get you on the ground and pound you. Beat your face into someone quick, and most likely would be you than I. I had to grow up tough. I had to grow up to defend my brothers and sisters. Although my father was a pastor, but he didn't tolerate you coming home crying saying someone beat you up. He would send you back out and make sure you don't come home crying because he's going to give you something to cry for. You had to be real tough, during those times, and I appreciate it because it allowed me to have a mindset like I have now as a fighter. Very determined, very passionate. What I say and what I do, like I say always, I'm a protector. My mindset is very, very strong because of my childhood and what I had to grow up in, And, all that plays a big part into me today. So when it came to boxing, it was hard try to understand the structure of boxing, the science of boxing, even making the Olympics team because they already had the team picked out. The guy that was supposed to be representing America was a guy that goes by the name of Alan Willett. He was right here from New York, a lefty. He ended up getting beat by a guy named Quintus Grave, and I ended up beating Quintus Grave and became a part of the Olympics team. And but I remember all these guys, even making the Olympics team, seeing all these great fighters, all these guys that came up in, from small, in the gym and all the way up to making the Olympics team, and they knew everything. They had the skill. They had, to hit the mitts and know how to hit the bag, know how to do the proper jab, the right hands. I'm just sitting back at the Olympic Training Center looking at these guys and trying to mimic the things they do and try to understand certain things. And, and it seemed like every time we went to another country, I'm learning. I wanted to get the experience because these guys had way more experience than I. But one thing they didn't have like I had the heart. I had the mindset. I had the determination because of where I came from and who I was doing it for. I feel like when you do it for yourself, it's selfish. But when you have someone to do it for, it allows you to fight even harder, to dig a little bit deeper, to train a little bit longer, and that's what it all came from. And I don't regret nothing that had happened to me. Sometimes I think about what if I would have made it in this sport, I made it in that sport, but I love this sport. This is what I love to do. So they say when you love to do something, it is not considered working. And I'm able to provide for my family. I told my daughter when she was 1 year old that I said, Daddy's going to be able to support you beyond your belief. He's going to be the heavyweight champion of the world one day. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't know what it would take to get me there, but I just knew in my heart, I spoke it into the universe. And like I always say, I speak it, believe it, and I received it. And it came true for me. And now I can support not only her, but all of my children beyond their belief, be able to provide for them, bigger than my family could ever do for me, and it's a blessing. So I don't regret nothing, because I feel like God gave me this opportunity and he put me in the right place at the right time in my life.
When you talk about who you fight for, of course, we're going to think of your children, your immediate family, but you made enough to provide for them. If that were the only case, beyond financially, do you feel that coming from where you come from, the American South, Alabama in particular, the experiences that you had, like you say, you coming out of these streets, collegiate football doesn't pay people. It's not a real opportunity for young people to become a professional at anything if they don't go to the NFL. Now you being local boy made good, to say the least, do you feel like your position as heavyweight champion, you're carrying a mantle, and you're doing this for more than just your family? Do you see yourself in a role beyond that?
I mean, most definitely. Especially the person that I am. Like I said, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I know what I represent. A lot of people don't like especially a strong black man like myself, to just speak my piece. I speak my piece without being unapologetic to what I say, because I'm passionate about what I say. And when you have a great team, as I have with Al Heyman, with Shelly Finkles, with JD's, with Mark, Mark Breland, that allows you to give you the power to even more expand, what you're trying to do in boxing, especially with Al Heyman, because Al takes the power from the slave masters and give it to the fighters. And that's one thing that they don't like about him, that Al gives the power to his fighters, because we are the one that's in the ring. We are the one that risking our lives for others' entertainment. And when you have a guy like me, people don't like what I say, but they have to respect me. They may not like what I do, but they have to respect me. And, some people respect me because you say, you know what? I may not like what he says or sometimes what he does, but he's real, and he keeps it real with everyone. I keep it real with everyone, and I think that's my strongest point. I'm just a guy that I don't have time to play around. I don't have time to bullcrap people. I want to keep it real with them as they keep it real with me, and I'm like, what do you rather have, a person that keeps it real or a person that's always fake? Say one thing right now, but then when we walk out that door, I'm like, Rahim, Nah, if I feel a certain way about you, trust me, I'm going to say it right here in front of your face, because I want to feel your energy. I want to look into your eyes. I want to feel what you feel after I've delivered my piece that I've delivered to you. And I want your feedback on it so I can feel how you feel about it. Not when you turn your back or not when you walk out that door, because I can't feel you then. I can't understand how you felt about what I said in a certain situation. I'm a very strong black man. I'm a strong champion. And I think I carry the torch for a lot of fighters, because there's a lot of fighters that want to express their opinion. But Rahim, they're scared to. They're scared of what people may say. They're scared of what people may think. And I'm just one of those fighters that I give about what people say about me or what they think.
Well, fortunately, I can't speak for people who you've knocked out, but because I'm not one of those. But I can speak for people with whom have had a very close and personal, in-your-face conversation. I think I might be the only one that's spoken to you and that aggressively, and that close nose to nose, and didn't get knocked out. So I appreciate that. And as you say, sometimes you make plans, you're attempting to do something, and something else happens. In the moment, hey, you get the news, you got a baby on the way at 19, you find out that she has physical challenges. All of these things can seem really daunting and maybe even bad news at the time, but ultimately they guide you in the right direction. That's how I like to think of the interaction between you and I. You come off the stage, you're hot, you just got finished barking back and forth at your opponent, and I hear you say something on the stage that most people who caught this moment after the fact don't know. We had sat down a couple months ago in Germany and kind of fleshed out how you feel about racism and how you feel about the way blacks are treated in society and in the sport. And I heard you say about fighting for 400 years, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, that's something I know is a part of this guy's character. I know, at least from what I've experienced with him, that Deontay Wilder feels like a leader, like someone who will speak out when others won't. Let me get him to expound on that. Let me get him to expand his thought on that. I know what you're talking about. I think I knew you were talking about, because we talked about it before. But the way it came at you in that moment, you responded the way you did in that moment. And I think ultimately it's become something that's positive.
Correct.
Fighting to this day is a catchphrase of yours now. I'm happy that moment happened. I'm happy you're doing with it what should be done with it, broadening the conversation. People may have not known in that moment. I'm certain, in fact. A lot of people really did know what you were referencing that do now because of that time. But like you say, you're curious what was on my mind. In that time, I really was trying to get you to talk about what you're talking about now when you reference that statement. What was on your mind when I said that? Did you really think I didn't understand what you were talking about, or what? Why did you react the way that you did then?
Well, to be honest, I think I thought you tried to bait me into, talking about it even more, and that's what I was saying. What's understood doesn't have to be explained, because of course we, just got off the stage. I'm in my moment, I'm in my element, and when I'm looking across the room, I'm looking at another black man to another, and like, what do you mean about your people? And I'm like, what do you mean? My people, your people too, So it was all in it, in the moment of things, which it turned out to be a great thing, and you just never know what you're gonna say to spark someone, to make someone feel a certain type of way, or to make them feel. It's so many people have gotten so emotional about to this day, because there's so many people, have been done wrong, especially in the South. They have been done wrong, or been in situations where they've been mistreated, or been in a place where people looked at them and judged them off the color of their skin and not the character of their content, So, I don't think God make mistakes. I think that was meant to be said. I think the question that you asked was meant to be said as well too. So, I didn't never have bad blood against you after that situation, just because I've seen the life that it affect. But even before then, just it's so much hatred in the world. So I couldn't hate you for you saying, what do you mean? Because personally, I don't think you took it in a way of, you being ignorant to what I'm saying. I just think you was trying to bait me to even explain and talking about it more. And I felt like you already know what I'm saying, so why should I even talk about it more? This situation even more, always painful as is, you already know what I'm talking about. So it just escalated into something else, and but it became a great thing because everyone loves to sing to this day.
Oh, I know.
To this day, to this day, all over the world. And I never thought that it would go so viral. I never thought it would affect so many people around the world. But that just lets you know the power of words, and that just lets you know that racism is very real, around the world. And people love to have someone to speak out, and to have a platform that I have to speak out like that. They loved it. They love it, And
you were correct in that baiting sometimes has negative connotations. Like if I'm trying to trap you or got you. That wasn't quite it, but baiting is a proper term. I was trying to draw you out. I knew that that's something that you could and would talk about if prodded. I knew that you were really emotional in the moment, and I knew most people didn't hear that. So I wanted to hear you in that moment with that energy explain what your frustration was with what you've been going through to this day, what we have as a culture have been going through to this day. And just as a red herring, the fact that I phrased it was just me quoting you, but it did trigger something in you that is greater than whatever people want to say about me or how they want to react to it. All of those things happen, I agree with you, because they should have happened based on what's been produced from. Great things, a great conversation. With that said, looking at how people receive me about it, I hear to this day as often as you do. Let me tell you what. But I don't think if nobody's walking up to me crying happy because I asked you that question. It's very much the opposite.
I can only imagine.
You can only imagine. And I'm willing to take that whipping to bring about this moment.
Oh, man.
But it is important that it be known that you and I are friends, that a moment happened between the two of us, I think, that changed history, might have even transcended the sport.
Yes.
And that's what iconic heavyweight champions have done. Oftentimes, not because they want to do. Muhammad Ali didn't want to go to jail for avoiding the draft, and he got a lot of flack for that. But ultimately, that was really one of the things that set him aside from other people who had held that title and really held true to their principles. It was a moment that in the moment seemed negative, but ultimately set him on a course to transcend the sport and become what Muhammad Ali is today and will always be. I have respect for you in that you're willing to talk about what you feel unvarnished. And being as aggressive as you are as an individual, just as a personality, sometimes it comes out really, really hot. You know what I mean? So in my role as a journalist, I can't take possession of you or your mission. I can't take our when you say your. But what I can do is sometimes push you in those moments to get at what's really underneath. So now that you are the guy that said to this day, and everybody sees you, at least in that light, as in that moment, taking hold of the culture and making everybody aware that you're talking about something serious, there's a converse that's happening in this same moment. I don't have to tell you what the controversy is about saying you want a body on your record or talking about ending somebody's life in the ring. I've had this conversation with you before. I know you doubled down on it. I know you tripled down on it. I know you haven't been budged on it. But I have to say, knowing you the way I know you, I don't really believe that you mean that. That you sincerely want that. So coming from where you come from, street fighting, coming through the ranks of boxing without the pedigree or the skills that people think you have to have, is there something about that? Is there a chip on your shoulder from that regard? Like you're a different kind of individual? Like maybe this isn't just a scientific sport to you, but when you think about street fighting, you are fighting for your life.
Correct.
When you think about what can happen in the ring, yeah, that is something that hangs in the balance, but you don't go in there wanting to kill a guy who just is looking to take your title. So, setting aside that one particular line, can you talk to me about where that comes from? What is it that you really want to accomplish when you say, I want to put a body on my record?
Well, there's only two fighters that I said I wanted to kill them. And I meant every word I say. Like I say, I'm passionate about what I say. I'm passionate about what I do. And these two men have threatened me. They've threatened my life. So it's only right for me to threaten them as well too, and may the best man win. And that was Stavern, which he threatened to kill me. So I said the same thing back to him and meant every word. And now it's Dominic Breazeale. He told my brother that he would kill him, and if his family were here, he would kill my family. He don't talk about that. He miss out. He takes so many. He don't add a lot of things that he said because he want people to feel sorry for him. He want people to get on his side. Dominic Breazeale started this whole mess, and I'm gonna finish it for him. So when you coming into my city, when I put you on my card, I allowed you to make money on my card. I brought you to my city, and you coming to threaten my brother. Of course he had a comeback win off a guy that almost got him out of there. He came back. I'm sure he was on his high horse, but and he wanted to go for Gerald Washington. I was fighting against Gerald Washington, and I think they're somewhat friends. And that's fine with me. I don't care about you, what side that you choose. That's fine with me. This is sports. We're going to have different sides that we pick. But don't come and threaten someone's family. Don't do that and don't think it's going to be some repercussions behind your actions. And I only did what I've been doing since I've been young, is protecting my family, providing for my family. I don't take threats lightly, So when you come and do that, then now I mean bad for you, bad intentions for you. And I mean every word that I said. I don't take nothing back that I said. I mean it. And it's the only time. Other than that, I'm going to get in the ring and do what I got to do regardless. This is boxing. We're fighting. So something's going to happen. Whether you're going to get hurt, whether you're going to get bruised up, get a black eye. And like I said, many doctors will tell you the head is not meant to be hit in the first place. So that's what all that came from, because of his action, his lies. He came and keep a lie straight from me. He don't even know if I walked in by myself or with 20 people. When no one never sees me with that many people. He don't know if he sucker punched my brother hit him in the back of the head. Which that's a lot. He making up so he don't even know where his own kids is, but he say they was with him. They wasn't with you. They was with my guys. My guys. You can interview him. I can bring the one guy that had his children, arms folded, watching his kids while everybody else was running around, pushing and shoving. His wife was nowhere to be seen. She's running around trying to hit people and yell and all that. So with so much commotion going on and chaos going on, how you know when your children are? You don't know. It's just his whole story is so made up, and it's just sickening to me. You know, like I said, I'm a man, and I can accept my wrongdoings. I can accept full responsibility of what I do, you know. But as another man, don't make up a story because you want people to look at you as the victim and look at me as the villain, you know. Because of it's crazy that when I say things, people get butt hurt about it. You know, they get so sensitive about what I say, you know. But that just let me know I'm in the right place. When you have so many haters that every time you say something, you know, they want to go against you, that let me know I'm in the right place. Every person that was great in the world had haters. It started out with hatred, but at the end of their career, at the end of the day, it became love. And that's how it's going to be with me. People may hate me now, but at the end, my story will be told that people love me all over the world. That's why I don't really pay attention to the hatred. You know, even on social media, you'll never see me comment against someone that's talking negative to me, but I will comment to all my supporters, all the ones that love me, because I really have some real ones out here that love me and that appreciate me. I just had a message from a guy that said he was about to commit suicide until I came into his life. You know, how I came in his life, I don't know. You know, he said he see all the interviews I do. He see what I talk about. And he knows that I'm real. See, the real people are going to understand and recognize the real people. And when I get so many situations about guys getting out of jail and they're taking care of their family and guys on the street don't understand and know what to do to succeed or to carry on to the next day or don't know where they're going to get food or don't know how to get a job and they listen to me speak it, believe it, receive it. Have your mindset right. You can do it. You're great because greatness is only determined by service. I give these people hope. I give them some type of pride and dignity and be like, you know what? The champ said I can do it. And he did it. I'm going to do it. And that's what I love. So as much as hate I get in, trust me, the love is doubling in that. So that's why I continue to carry on and continue to do what I say, because you're not going to find no one as real as I in this business. You know, it's a lot of fighters that look up to me right now, you know, that wishing they could say it, wishing they can move how I am. But they're learning. They're looking at me. Trust me, I know. My team talk about it all the time. And I encourage all fighters to take your stand. Take your place. You are the talent. You're the one risking your life in the ring for others' entertainment. Don't lower yourself to no one else. You know, take that pride and hold it no matter what you say. But if you're going to say something, be passionate about it and mean what you say. And that's what it all come from. You know, I'm a type of guy that comes around every so many decades, you know, because everybody already trying to follow the trend. I'm not a trend follower. I'm a trend setter. And that's what type of man I am. My daddy didn't raise me to be a follower. He always told me to be a leader, to be a king. And that's what I display right now.
So with all that said, the weight of what you just said is significant. Guys are following you. You're a leader. You know, people are calling you from jail. People you don't even know. People are thinking about committing suicide, but they want to follow in your footsteps and live instead of die. You have to recognize that in that moment, from that position, that bully pulpit, if you will, that level of visibility far outweighs, even though Breazeale Severn was WBC heavyweight champion, not even a fraction of the kind of power that you have in this sport and visibility you have in this sport that he attained while holding that title. Dominic Breazeale has never held that title, but he said something to you personally that offended you in a way that I think most people can relate to. If that's how it went down, then yes, people can understand you would be offended by that, and if someone threatened the lives of your family, you would want to threaten their life. I can understand that.
Exactly.
But who you are in this position with that kind of notoriety, this kind of power, at the minimum, you understand how hearing you say you want to kill the second black man in the ring, who in a sporting event, not in the street, not when he attacks your family, breaks into your house, but when you both sign up to fight 12 rounds, can make people think that only one of these two things can be true. Either you are this leader, you are this cultural budding icon who can speak for the streets and inspire people to greater to do greater goods, or you're falling victim to your lesser demons. Letting a guy like Dominic Breazeale, if he said what you say he said, take you down to that level. Or letting a Breazeale say something that will put in the ear of way more people listening to you than are listening to him say that to you, the thought that, hey, you should be out here killing people who offend you.
But it's only in the ring. It's only with boxing, Outside of boxing, I'm not the same guy I am inside of boxing. Like I said, when I'm in the ring, I'm the bronze bomber. The bronze bomber have a different mindset than me outside the ring being Deontay Wilder. No one can say on the outside they seen me, conduct or say certain things. It's only inside of boxing, Outside of boxing, I'm a peaceful person. You rarely ever see me unless it's at a fight. Like I say, I come in peace until someone disturbs my peace. That's the only time you ever see Deontay Wilder conducting himself in a manner that's not appropriate, for who I am, But inside of boxing, hey, let's admit it. The things I said just went viral. Now a lot of people is gonna tune in to this fight because of the words that I've said. But you said, but if I was less of a person that didn't have the power, would it be acceptable that I said that? But because I have the power and I said that, people get sensitive and butthurt about it because they know it can happen.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But it shouldn't be like that though. Words are words. And I know words hurt. But people got to be careful what they say. As the Bible said, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Or is that the golden rule? And that's only that I display. That's all that I want. Don't come and say things to me, and because you got a gun in your hand and you say you're gonna kill me, but you don't have the heart to do it, and I say I'm gonna kill you, and I got the heart to do it. That people, you don't want to be so sensitive because I know I can do it and he ain't going to do it because he's just playing, but he still got the gun in his hand. No, we're in a sport where, like I said, the head is not meant to be hit. He can go in this ring and hit me in a certain type of way, and that can be it for me. I can do the same for him, whether you have power or not. When you apply leather to this, it don't matter. You don't have to have power. He's a heavyweight. And heavyweight, we know, is based off of power. So that's all it takes. So I don't want people to get offensive about what I say because we know that I can make it happen. And if he said, then, it's all, you're going to brush it off, because he don't have no power. He's not this Dominic Breazeale. What he's going to do? He ain't saying that. Look, you just said he don't have bass in his voice. It don't go that way. I don't play games like that. I'm a grown man with grown responsibilities and I got grown problems. I don't play with people. When you threaten me, then it's not wish bad upon you as well. This is just the sport that we're in. This is what makes the fight so intense as well too. How many people probably wouldn't have tuned into this fight because they already know I was going to whip his butt. But now because I said something and I put a title on it, now look how many that's going to tune in just to see I'm going to do what I say. And even if I don't do what I say, they want to see me whoop his butt. And that's just the power of the internet.
See, to that degree, I can understand. You're selling tickets. Yeah, you were personally offended. That's real. But if you had a moment to where you could knock this guy out or kill this guy, if he was defenseless and you would take a shot that you actually thought would end his life, I don't think you would actually do that because beyond you being a better person than that, if someone were to die in the ring at your hand, especially intentionally, which I can't imagine, but even accidentally, because I honestly believe that's the only way it would happen, the weight of that would probably devastate you. Can you imagine that actually happening and you feeling good about it?
I mean,
no.
You're not gonna feel good about nothing if someone has a family because you're always gonna think about your family as well, But you also gotta understand, and people gotta take in consideration that this is boxing. We're putting on these leather gloves to hit each other, again, in the head. Go ask any doctor. This is not supposed to happen, period. I can only imagine when they used to go back to bare knuckle. They still do bare knuckle boxing.
About to start doing it again.
You know what I mean? Just imagine that. Just imagine even a sport where like MMA, where you're using your elbows and you're using your knees and you're doing all this and stuff. But because of words, you want to get offensive. You want to get offended by the words. But we're about to apply action to it. He's probably thinking the same thing, but he don't want to take the criticism. He don't want people to be on him. But the only difference between me and him is I don't care what people think of me. The way I grew up, the way I was raised, I had to have a closed ear to all the negativity, the criticism. Every day you hear criticism, what you couldn't do. You're this and you're that. You're gonna be locked up. It's deaf. It's words to my deaf. It lays on deaf ears for me. I don't care about what people think. I not 0% care about what people think. So with this sport, it's a brutal sport. And if you don't like blood, you don't like people getting hurt, then I'm sorry, this sport ain't for you. You can love it all you want. Many things that came out of it. We was talking today about, look at like Ali and Frazier and all these guys dead right now. They was beat up, one was in Parkinson and one died. What, Frazier was like 40 something maybe or something?
He's older than that, but
he was older than that. But still, the promoters and the managers outlived them. They're still in big mansions and stuff. And even fighters that's been world champions, former champions now, they're struggling with money. But I guarantee you the promoters, I guarantee you the ones that was managing them, they're living their best life. They're in their big mansions and driving in their fancy cars while these fighters out here still struggling. It's a brutal sport. This is just a sport that we're in, and I love it. And the guys that's in the ring, they love it too. Hey, maybe we're crazy. You can say that. That's why this sport is not for everyone. This ain't for everyone right here. Like I said, I'm a peaceful person outside of boxing. I'm a homebody as well. People barely see me, but I'm just one of those people you just do not want to get on your bad side. You do not want to mess with me. Because I can't turn into another person that you would not like. It would be hard for me to calm down. I know myself. I'm a type of person that I do go to 0 to 100. I don't have a middle. I'm not in between. Either I like you or I don't. If I didn't like you, I wouldn't have you here with me in front of me, at all, period. I wouldn't be doing no interview with you, period. I'm not going to fake with no one. I'm not going to put on this mask and pretend like I like someone and then take it off. I am who I am. And people may not appreciate me now with some, but they appreciate me later. They'll say he was a real one. He was the realest that we had. And a lot of people appreciate real people. Like I said, I may have a lot of haters, but I guarantee you my love doubles that. And I appreciate it. Why you think I continue to do what I do? Because of the love, because of the people that comes in and tell me their story and how I affected their life. If I was such a bad person and I said so many bad things, why do I get so many love from people all over the world? Everywhere I go, even when I'm walking the streets, even when they writing me or they sending messages to other people that knows me. I mean, heartfelt things. And I always tell them I appreciate your words, because it allows me to know that I'm in the right place. Someone else may not like what I say because they don't like who I am or like my style or like where I came from, or maybe they're racist themselves. Only who knows. But I got people that love me around the world, and that's all I need, because I'm filled with love. My parents raised us to be right. Like I said, I come from a church background. My grandma was a pastor. My daddy is a pastor now. So I'm filled with love. I come in peace. Of course, I don't want to harm no one outside of the ring. I want everyone to be happy. But inside the ring is a whole different thing, because this is the name of the game. This is the hurt business. You'll never see no one get in that ring and not have the anticipation of hurting the next man. Because when that bell rings, it gets scary. It's a lonely sport, because this man been training for you and you've been training for him. And now it's time Get him. So, it don't get no serious than that.
So you're speaking to me about duality. There's a Deontay Wilder outside the ring, and he is described by you the same way as he's experienced by me. I think those things are true about you. You're an affable guy. You're good-natured. You're fair, which is why we're sitting here. And in the ring, there's this other Deontay Wilder that you described. So it's love and fear, which is one of those things that I guess are even debated in films and literature over the ages. Which one's more important to you then? You say you don't care about what people think, but clearly you do. You're loved. You want to be loved. You want to be inspirational. No. Is it the love or the fear that's most important to you? The guy who wants to kill a guy or the guy who wants to inspire?
I love. I'm a big lover. I'm a lover. You know what I mean? But when you come into boxing, you gotta have that demeanor about yourself. You gotta have something that pushes you. You gotta have something that walks you outside of that tunnel, that gets you across those ropes. That's why everybody can't do this, man. This ain't no sport for everyone. You know? It's hard to explain when people haven't been in the ring. They don't understand what us fighter goes through, how we have to break our body down, how we have to survive. And I feel sorry for the fighter that said, this is all I know how to do. It's to fight. This is the hurt business. There's nothing pleasant about this sport. You're going to go home with some type of aches and pain on you at the end of the day. And what type of job is beautiful that you go home with aches and pain every time you're on the job, even when you're training? It builds something inside of you. Have you ever trained for someone for 3 months, 4 months? You think about one man, and every time you hit the bag, you thinking about him. Every time you hit the mix, you thinking about him. Every time you feel the pain in your joints from jump roping or those that like to do a lot of roll work, that pain that goes through your body. Many times I felt like crying because my body felt so bad because I couldn't get comfortable in my bed because my body hurt, because I'm training for this one particular guy to be able to support and feed my family. There's so much emotions that's built up in this sport that allows certain things to come out inside you. People will never understand this. People are always on the outside looking in, think they know. Then they listen to the experts that think they know. You only get real credit is when you really have endured and experienced what a real fighter goes through. Other than that, you just on the outside looking in. You just filled with assumptions, and everyone has an opinion. But they don't really understand this sport. They don't understand because they never been through it. Most fighters that's fighting come from poverty. You ain't gonna find no rich kid boxing. Yeah, for what? What are they fighting for? You ain't gonna find that. Most of these fighters that's been fighting, they've endured pain. And they bring the pain, and that pain gives them motivation each and every time they're in the ring to not go back to where they went, where they came from. I got a wonderful life. And every time I'm in that ring, I think about my children. I say, baby, daddy coming home. My oldest daughter said, Daddy, I want you to knock him out, but I don't want you to get knocked out. I said, baby, don't you worry. Daddy coming home. And when you have kids that look at you and understand what type of sport this is, the hurt business, like I said, you think about all that, and that's going to bring something out of you. That's going to bring everything out of you, everything that you done work hard for, everything that you done sacrifice, all the heartaches and pain that you done endure. And on top of that, being a fighter, you still have a life outside of that. You still have situations and problems outside of that bring even more pain and anger inside of you. So when it's time to fight this guy, you can release the beast that's inside of you. You ain't got to hold back on nothing. I'm going to release all of it so I can be back to my normal self. And then when you released all the negativity, then you're back to yourself smiling. Hey, how you doing? How are you? That's why we're able to hug each other at the end of the night and show some type of sportsmanship. Because all that negativity is out. It's out. It's like taking a bath, you're going to wash it away. Someone has to pay for that. And unfortunately, the opponent that lies in front of us during that time has to pay because we're training for him. Dominic Breazeale has to pay for what he said and what I've had to go through. Those many nights that I couldn't get I couldn't find a comfort spot in my bed, and I got a soft bed, baby. It's very soft. They say the most important thing you can have in your house is a nice bed, and that I got. But imagine having a nice bed that you can't get comfortable in because your body hurt from all the pain that the wear and tear and the pain that you done put on your body. You know who you doing for. Now I'm mad because I can't sleep. And who gonna have to pay for that? That opponent. It's a lot coming to this sport, man.
When you started your professional career, you said, I'm going to fight. And even early in this interview, you said, I just wanted to be a journeyman. I just want to make some money. You said you would fight for 10 years. That's it. I'll make that money, support my family. 10 years, I'm out the game. All the sacrifice you just talked about. The possibility of long-term injury. Your life being shortened by head trauma, brain trauma. The kind of frustration of not being able to get comfortable in a beautifully soft bed. Why not? Doesn't daddy just come home for the last time? Like, stop leaving. You're good. You got the belt. You got the money. All the kids are good. Why you keep getting in the ring?
It's in us.
This is your 10th year.
This is my love. I'm in it. I mean, I'm passionate about it. You know, it's a part of me. This is a part of me. Boxing is it's just something about boxing that you're chosen to do so. You know, the great fighter don't really choose to do this. It chooses you. When I walked in that ring, of course, I physically had to walk in there, but I could have gave up a long time ago through my first workout. When my legs were shaking and my hands, I couldn't really hold my hands up because I never felt such pain. I never had to hold my hands up this long. I'm used to putting guys on the ground and pound, pound, pound. Not to stand up and strategize, like we say, the sweet science, you know. But when you do it so long, it becomes a part of you. You know, we complain about so many things, but it's like, I love my job. I love to do this. Maybe we're crazy, but also I have a goal. I haven't accomplished my goal yet, Rahim. I build for generational wealth. Just like I told my daughter when she was 1 year old, I'll be a champion and be able to support her beyond her belief. I accomplished that. 6 more added to the family. Now I'm building for generational wealth, and right now I haven't reached that generational wealth, but one day I will, because I spoke it, I believe it, and I shall receive it. And once I do that, you will see Deontay Wilder hang it all up. There will be a one day where I get a call that says, Mr. Wilder, you don't have to work no more, ever in a day in your life. Not only I have things going on in the boxing world, inside of the ring, but I have a lot of things going on in the outside of the ring as well. See, people may think I'm a dumb fighter because of the crazy things I say, because of sometimes I make up my own words because I'm in the moment. You know, things just come out of me, and it may not sometimes make sense to people. But the thing about it, they understand what I'm saying. Like I said before, what's understood don't have to be explained. You know, I'm very smart with my money. I'm very smart about how I move. I'm very smart about the people that surrounds me. And if you see me and you see people around me, you know they love me. You know these are day ones. You know this is a family. They may not be raised from my mother. They may not come from my mother. They may not be raised by my father. But you know these guys, they love me. I have people around me that love me and they're willing to die for me if they have to, as well as I. I have people around me that are willing to give me their shirt off their backs as well as I would do for them. I'm a type of person that I don't walk around acting like I'm the baddest. I have all this money, so I'm better than anyone else. That's not me. That's not my. You won't barely ever hear me talk about money or what I have because it's materialistic for me. I look at the finer things and like, oh my gosh, I teach them to be kings, to be your own kings, to develop your own thing. So when you have a family, and most of them have their own family, I teach them how to invest their money and put it in the right place. But many people didn't, you know, I had to get to a certain place to meet the certain people before I can get this type of information. And it's backwards. It's sad how it works that when you become this type of person that everybody want to do for you, everybody want to give you free things. But what about when I really needed your help? What about when I really need you? Why I couldn't get it free then? Why you couldn't give me a helping hand? Or why you couldn't spit knowledge into my mind so when I apply your knowledge to my life, I become wise? Because that's the only way you become wise, through knowledge, and you apply knowledge to life. Because every old person is not wise. You have old fools as well too. And for me, I love my guys. I love all my guys that's around me. That's why they protect me to the life of them, because they know what I teach them. They know what my heart is. No matter what people may hear or see on the internet or my actions or what I do far as boxing is concerned, they know what type of person I am outside of boxing. They know the teaching that I instilled in them outside of boxing, that instilled in them. What I know, they know. How I invest my money, they're investing their money as well too. So no man is left behind. No matter how big I get, I can stay humble and teach them and carry them and show them the way, you know. And that's just what type of person I am. You're not gonna find too many. You got people out here that are you may have on a fragrance. Man, what type of fragrance that you got on? They won't even tell you. Because they don't want you to wear the same thing you wearing, but you put money in somebody else's pocket, and you're probably 1,000 more other people got the same fragrance you got on, but you don't want to tell me what you got on. I don't understand that. Someone asked me, hey, where you get those shoes from? Hey, I got them from here, Neiman's Marcus or somewhere. What type of fragrance you wear? Hey man, this Baccarat, man, I'm gonna tell you the price, you can go get it, whatever. I mean, it ain't my brand, and why would I not let you know what's going on? See, we live in a world like that where people, you know, lack of information because they don't want you to be like them, or they don't want you to have the things that you have. And we also live in a world where people love you until you get equal to them or do better than them, and then they don't want no good for you to happen. They be like crabs in a bucket, want to pull you down to their level or lower. It's too many. This world filled with too much hate as it is. So that's why on the outside, I make sure I come with love. Everyone that sees me, they see my energy because I feel theirs. They know what type of person I am. That's why people love me. They love my tea when I come around. They may not like the things I say far as boxing concerned, but as a person, who I am, my heart, they love that, and that allows them to understand me a little bit more. See, when you fought thousands of miles away, or you listening to me or whatever, you get your own perspective of me until you really get to know that person and really you get to know me or the things I've done. I've helped a lot of people stay in their family, in their household. When the banks, when there was foreclosure, one day of foreclosure, many times. I done helped many people. So a lot of people write me. I can't help everybody because I'll go broke. And I can't do that. I've came too far. I've came a long way. Broke is in my rearview mirror. And I ain't looking back. But those that I can help, I will help. Those that I can inspire, I will inspire. Those that I can teach things that I know, I will teach them so that they can handle it, and they can handle it according to their, apply it to their life, and somebody come up and ask them, they can show them and teach them. See, that's the only thing about it. See, a lot of people wants to do things in life, but they don't have no type of guidance. They don't know how to get there. And sometimes people just need that push to show them, this is how you do it. Lack of information. And that's what type of person I am. And that's why I'm loved all over. But even the ones that can't see it, one day they will. And if they don't, may God be with them. And I hope God ease their mind, you know, and find some type of comfort in their life. Because there's so many people miserable, and no matter what they see of a person, no matter what they do, they can only see negativity, and I feel sorry for them. Because at the end of the day, whatever you think of me, whatever you may say of me, know that I'm going home in peace. My family is taken care of. The people that's around me is happy, and they taken care of, and they may not all be rich. Because I don't have all rich friends. No, I don't. But I guarantee you, I'm going to build them. I'm going to make sure that they invest themselves, their money, to the point where they can become wherever they want to go. Everybody don't desire to be rich. Everybody don't desire to be wealthy. I feel rich is when you own everything. When you can sit down at night and say, I ain't got to owe this man nothing. My car paid off, my house paid off, the kids is doing all right. I'm good. That's rich. See, people get it so misconstrued and think about money. Money is the thing that solves everything. But money, like I said, more money, more problems. Money only bring problems. Money bring friends around. Money only can pay for things that's temporary. It's not permanent. But when you have true love in your heart, when you want to encourage people, you want them to do great, and they sense that, and you allowing them to grow as a person and allow them to grow in their family, that's temporary love that they'll show you. That's why you don't never burn no bridges, because you just never know when you may have to cross that bridge again. And that's what kind of person I am. You have to get to know me before judging me, because my looks are very deceiving.
Getting to know you over the past year, I don't mean me personally now, but I think the boxing world, sports world, has gotten to know you because the catalyst was a year ago, they were making fun of you, second guessing you. Hey, this guy, he's the American champion, nobody knows his name. The famous video of Eddie Hearn walking through the streets asking people who you were. They offered you $15 million for a unification fight. At least that's what I know to be the number, if it's not correct, something like that. Mm-hmm. Then it got up to, 20, then 40. It keeps climbing. They said you couldn't do it. You couldn't sell tickets. You couldn't be a draw. And you've proved them wrong to that degree. And you talk about generational wealth being one of the goals and owning everything. Like all the titles must be one of the goals. Is that what you're thinking about? And that during that climb over the past year or so, when people were doubting you and second guessing your decisions, and you've gotten to this place, what was the strategy? Or is it a strategy, or because I see principle in you? I see a personal stance that sometimes when you are offended can make you very rigid in dealing with other people. Was it a personal offense dealing with the Joshua camp and negotiating a fight and them trying to tell you what you're worth? Or was it all business? Can you break down for me how we got from where you were to where you are now, in their estimation, worth 15 and now at least 40, and you still haven't agreed to that number being the number that is satisfying?
Well, it's a certain way you conduct business. When you have a team that's very serious and they bring themselves to you accordingly in a serious manner, and you have another team that's not so serious but make it seem like they're serious and drag you along and set goals because, they're on that high horse in a small country. They're a big fish in a small pond there. And now because they have other organizations, behind us as far as having other belts, then they feel like they can pull the strings, not understanding that this is a whole different market. You don't even understand. It's just like I said again, to know me, not looking at what you see, but when you get around me, you understand a little bit more. The name callings and saying certain things. My thing is I don't care about the name calling. You know what I mean? That's like their last of my list, because like I said, that's nothing to me. You know what I mean? That's childhood. That grows on deaf ears for me. But when you say, all right, we want you to do this, we want you to do that, and we do this, we do that, and we get to that point, all right, what now? Now this situation it became, now you got to do this. And when we all say, all right, we'll say, what? You keep working me, damn it, I got to do some more just to get this done? All right, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do something else that you said I can't do. We do it. Now it becomes another. Now it becomes the goalpost move again. And they continue to move for 4 months. For 4 months. As they keep moving. Oh, Shelly Winkles and all. You know what I mean? It get to a point in time where you say, man, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to prove. We're going to show you. We're going to show that what you thought you had, you don't have. The power that you thought you had, you don't have. In fact, it's going to be the opposite side. It's going to be on the other. It's going to be the other side around. And now we've seen that unfold. Everything they said was contradictory. Everything they did. Now they have to, I could say so many different things, so many offers. Like I said, we tried to make this fight happen 5 times. When many fans, you don't deserve it. You don't need to just, he's had this, he had that. But all of a sudden now you want to reverse that. You need to fight him. You should fight him. Oh, now because there's nowhere to go? I thought they said they would never come to America. Why? You got a good thing in England, right? Is these their words or I'm making up something? Okay, come on, preach to me.
Correct.
Preach to me. And now you coming over here into a whole nother world, into a more diverse world, a bigger world than what you know back home. A world that you're uncomfortable with, that you don't know how to do things. Even he stated himself. He said it's different here. What we did in our country, it may work for the next city, in the next city, but here it's a different thing. And that's what we've been trying to get them to understand. It's different here. It's not as easy as it may have seemed over there because y'all are one people. We're one of many here. It's very diverse here, And now you coming over here, you find someone else that is not called the champion, But all of a sudden now you ain't got nowhere to go. You want to call out, the champion. Oh, now when you want to cooperate, now you want to do this and think that we supposed to brush all that shit you did under the rug. It don't work like that. What goes around comes around. Now you're under our mercy. And if you're not, continue to do what you do. Continue to do and see what happens. It's so many things I could say. But why continue to talk about this situation? One thing I can tell people, no matter what, that these fights is going to happen because they don't have nowhere to go for one. Now one of them have nowhere to go. You in my world. You in my country now. And I got 2 men that's been in the game combined together for 60 years. And every fighter you've known that reached the top, every top champion have went through these guys. They've gotten them to this point, to the top that the top of the podium where they once were. They got them there. So why would you think they don't know the route to take me there? But then you're talking about a guy that got explosive power, one-hit power. Because the heavyweight division is based off power. At the end of the day, no one wants to see a heavyweight fight go to a round. Let's face it. We want to see someone get knocked out. And that's one thing Deontay Wilder will display. At the end of the day, you're going to see somebody get knocked on the ground, and it may be life-threatening. You're messing around with me. And this is the point that we're at right now, So I don't want to hear these crybabies now cry. Oh, you should take it. You should take this. No, I shouldn't take nothing. I'm going to do what I'm doing, and I'm going to do what I've been doing. Ain't nobody going to sit around here and keep moving the goalposts. When we tried 4 months, people don't understand what that feel like when someone continue to play around with you. We're grown, man. We're grown men. This is a business. We're grown men. We ain't got time for no games. We want to get the fans what they want to see. They had many times to get me at a low rate. Low rate. A high risk, low reward for them. A low reward for me. A high risk, high reward for him. But now it's changed. So I don't want to hear none of those fans over there, anybody around the world got a problem with me doing what we're doing. The fight's going to happen. And when it happens, it's going to be when it comes silence. The great thing about it is all parties are still talking. And when the fight happens, you're going to know. Trust me, you'll know. So I don't want anybody bothering me talking about what I should and shouldn't take. You ain't the fighter. And I ain't finna get in there just because you want to see the fight happen and risk my life for your entertainment. It's going to happen. Trust me. Because I'm the only one that took high risk, low rewards in this sport. The only. What other person, what other guy that have done what I'm doing? None of them. From the Stavern Viral to the Ortiz when nobody wanted to fight. And everybody always talking about how old he is, but not now one want to get in there and fight him. None of them. None of them. It's ridiculous how, oh, he's old. So get in that shit. It should be easy to beat him then. Go get that little money then. Hey, it should be easy to beat him and get the respect. Nobody want to see. Then go from a Tyson Fury. That fight happened unexpectedly when it was quiet. Quiet. I know a lot of people like surprises. Wait on the surprise. And then now you talking about fighting, now you want to unify. Now all of a sudden it's time you want to unify. It's been time to do that. But well, he got all the belts. He can do what he wants. He can do. Now he don't have nowhere to go. Now you want to cry. Because what's the thing about me? I'm not going to lower my standards and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And then time they realize what damage they done cost in this sport, what damage they done cost in business-wise, that now all of a sudden I'm supposed to say, yes, sir, I'm going to do it one more time, sir. No, I'm not. That ain't how it works. I am the king, and I'm going to show them that. But again, like I said, the fight is going to happen. Trust me. And when it do, it's going to be amazing. For there will be one champion, one face, one name. And he go by the name of Deontay Wilder. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me.
Well, King,
trust me.
I appreciate you holding court with me so long today. It is a great pleasure to talk to you and get these issues resolved and talked through. It's very generous of you to give your time, especially on the eve of this big fight. Thank you so much for the respect.
My man, blessings. Thank you so much. And y'all love Radio Rahim. He's a great guy. You know, with the past is the past. Now it's the future, baby. And I believe in second chances.
Radio Rahim with Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber, the WBC heavyweight champion, the only American heavyweight champion of the world.
To this day!
To this day.